In the year 475, a man walked into the imperial palace in Ravenna, handed over the purple robe of Rome, and simply disappeared. His name was Julius Nepos. He was the legitimate emperor of the Western Roman Empire. And he did not die. He ran. That single act, a sitting emperor abandoning his throne instead of defending it, tells you everything your history class got wrong about the fall of Rome. They taught you Rome collapsed. They never told you some of its emperors helped it collapse from the outside. Because what Julius Nepos did next is not in any textbook you were ever handed. He sailed to Dalmatia, the coast of modern-day Croatia, and he set up a government in exile. He kept the title. He kept the treasury he had taken with him. He started writing letters to foreign kings and barbarian warlords, signing every single one as Emperor of Rome. And then he began plotting his return. But to understand why this matters, you need to understand the man who replaced him. His name was Orestes, not a barbarian outsider, a Roman, a bureaucrat, a man who had previously served as personal secretary to Attila the Hun. Let that land for a second. The man who overthrew the last legitimate Western Roman emperor had once taken dictation for Attila the Hun. He was a Roman who had spent years inside the most feared barbarian court in history, and he had learned exactly how power worked there. Orestes forced Nepos out, but he made a critical mistake. He did not take the purple himself. He gave it to his own teenage son, a boy named Romulus, a boy so young and so inconsequential that history added the nickname Augustulus to his name, meaning Little Augustus. The empire that had once stretched from Britain to Mesopotamia was now being run by a child propped up by a secretary who used to work for the Huns. The soldiers who had helped Orestes stage his coup were Germanic federates, barbarian troops who had been fighting for Rome in exchange for land and pay. After the coup, they came to Orestes with a demand. They wanted 1/3 of Italy. Every Roman soldier received land as part of his service. They wanted the same. Orestes said no. That was his second critical mistake. Their leader was a man named Odoacer. He was of Syrian descent, possibly mixed with Hunnic blood. He had served Rome loyally for years. When Orestes refused his demand, Odoacer did not negotiate. He marched. Orestes was captured near Piacenza and executed in August of 476. His teenage son Romulus Augustulus was deposed, given a pension, and sent to live in a castle in Campania. And Odoacer declared himself king of Italy. Not emperor. King. The Western Roman Empire, at least in name, ceased to exist. But Julius Nepos was still out there. Still signing his letters as emperor. Still recognized as the legitimate ruler by the Eastern Roman Emperor in Constantinople. Odoacer even sent Romulus Augustulus's imperial regalia to Constantinople as a symbolic gesture, as if to say, we do not need a Western emperor anymore. The East quietly agreed to recognize Odoacer as a regional governor, while technically acknowledging Nepos as the rightful emperor of a West that no longer functioned. If this surprised you, subscribe right now. Because this channel exists to tell you the version of history they never put in the curriculum. Here is the layer they really buried. Julius Nepos spent the next 4 years in Dalmatia actively building a comeback. He was not a broken man in exile writing desperate letters. He was running a functioning court. He controlled a real territory. He had alliances. He had military resources. He was in communication with Odoacer, with Constantinople, and with Visigothic kings in Gaul. The historical record shows he was negotiating the return of Provence, a Roman territory in southern France, as a bargaining chip in a deal to reassert imperial authority. He was playing a long game that was actually working. And then, in 480, he was assassinated. Stabbed to death in his villa by 2 of his own guards. Who gave the order? The sources point directly at 2 former allies who had turned against him. Some historians have suspected Odoacer's hand was involved. Others believe it was an internal political betrayal. The truth is we do not know for certain. But the timing was not coincidental. Nepos was close to something. And someone made sure he never reached it. His death closed the door permanently. It removed the last man with a legal, recognized claim to the throne of the Western Empire. Within 3 years, Odoacer himself would face an even more dangerous challenger, Theodoric the Great, king of the Ostrogoths, sent by Constantinople to retake Italy. Theodoric defeated Odoacer, invited him to a reconciliation banquet, and personally killed him at the dinner table with his own sword. That story is its own episode. But here is what all of this means today. The fall of Rome was not a single dramatic event. It was a slow-motion negotiation between men who still believed in Rome as an idea even after Rome had ceased to function as a reality. Julius Nepos spent the last years of his life insisting he was emperor of a thing that did not exist anymore. Odoacer ruled a functional kingdom while pretending to be a regional governor of an empire that had collapsed. And Constantinople played both sides for decades, recognizing whoever was useful, abandoning whoever was not. The story we tell about Rome's fall is clean and cinematic. Barbarians at the gates, the empire crumbles, darkness descends. The real story is messier, more human, and far more interesting. It is about men clinging to titles, making deals with their enemies, and refusing to admit that the world had already changed around them. That tension, between the world as it is and the world as powerful men insist it must be, did not end in 480. It is the engine of almost every political crisis since. If you want more of the history that actually explains the present, subscribe and hit the bell. Next video, we go inside the banquet where Theodoric killed a king with his bare hands.